Welcome, comrades, to the program all about cars. My name is Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center. We're located at 867 Church Street in the north end of New Bedford, just off of exit 5 off of Route 140. Go down Church Street, just over half a mile on the right-hand side, right after Regal House, Webb Plumbing and Heating, and Dollar General, and we're right beside them. Very easy to get to, not a traffic light or a stop sign to come down and see us. And today, Andrew's at the shop. Good day to go by, beautiful day to go by, and look at some cars we have. We have some excellent value. Yeah, or if we don't have what you want, we can find you a car that you're looking for. And we start the process and build a relationship. And we go out there, we bring cars in for people pretty much almost every week. We have people looking for certain cars, and sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes we find the right car pretty quick. Depends what you're looking for and the color and the equipment. But we do that for a lot of people. Find a car that's an interest to you. So do check us out. Get ready for winter. Get a car. If you're going to have problems, a lot of repair problems going through the winter. Now's the time to upgrade it. We have some great deals, and the price very reasonable. Most of our machines we sell are in the automobile side are priced between $4,000 and $15,000, and we also have SUVs and trucks that go way up to $20,000. And we do sell cars that cost considerably more for those who want them. But for stock, we stay to our mission in the value end of the market. So most of the time, most of our customers have payments just over $100, $200 in that range, $100 to $200, and some of the newer cars might be around $225 or so. In many cases, less than your cable bill. And we put the money in the cars and making them ready for service before we take your money. And we go all the way. We make sure these cars are right when they leave and minimize your chances of coming back with problems. So you have to put the money in these cars to make them ready. When people trade cars in, very often they don't do what's necessary because they're trading the car in. So you have to do a real good PM on them and make sure that they're ready to go to the next owner in very good condition. And that usually means brakes, rotors, and other issues that you have to deal with. A lot of places cut corners. They'll do the brake pads, but they don't do the rotors. Or at best, they'll turn the rotors, which gives them a very limited use going into the future. But they want to get you past the 30 days and see you later. We in speed about 30 days. All our cars come with 90 days, regardless if the minimum is 30. So we go triple the warranty as well. And you don't pay any more. We're very competitive. We put our cars on the internet, and if we didn't price them right on the internet, you wouldn't get a phone call. And we do sell a lot of cars on the internet. So we're in the market. We're competitive. We work on a very efficiently and very lean. We don't try to take your heart out. Some of these places hit you with prices and knock you down, and they do as little as they have to in the cars, unfortunately. But that's the way it is. You can give us a call here. Give us a call here at 996-0500, 9960-500, and we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Fall's coming here. Now's the time to really think about doing some maintenance on your car to get through the winter. Basic things like, have you looked at your tires? Do they have enough tread? When it starts to get the icy rains and the leaves are slippery, and the snow and the ice come right around the corner, are you going to be in good shape to get through the winter? And if your tires are worn, now's the time to consider maybe upgrading, putting a set of tires in your car. We have tires. You can put 4 new tires on the ground with taxes, mounting, and balance for around $275 and up, $275 and up. And that's very inexpensive for a new set of tires. For a lot of the mid-sized cars, smaller cars, Corollas, Toyotas, Hondas, and so it represents a good value. Now, if you do a lot of commuting, we can upgrade that choice a little bit to a little tire rated for more highway use for small money. So we have some excellent value. We beat the big tire guys by far, and we can give you a lot of selection. We're a Falcon dealer as well, which is a great tire for people who want a good quality tire but without paying the tie-in prices for the top-of-the-line tires. I mean, if you're going to go out and buy Michelins, then you're going to step up to the plate and spend some dough. But if you're looking for value that compromise, because life, everything's compromises. Everything's a compromise. And so we try to find the value point and try to maximize your dollar. And that's what it's about today. And there's so many brands out there and so much confusion in selling or buying tires if you're the buyer, and the ratings and the sizes and speed ratings, load ratings, and what kind of tire, all season snow tires. There's all kinds of choices, so you have to get good advice on that. And usually we'll give you like 3 choices if you want. high-end tire, middle of the road, and low-price tires. And then you make the decision. And you got to think of it this way: buying tires is like buying shoes. There's lower quality shoes and there's higher quality shoes. Not just the look. Now let's forget about the looks, but the quality of it, the construction and the materials. And tires are like shoes. They are like shoes in a way, because that's what your vehicle rides on, and your feet kind of ride on the shoes you have on you. So you have to look at it that way. You buy a cheap pair of sneakers, you bought a cheap pair of sneakers. So we try to find the value end of the market for whatever price point you're at, and how you use it as well. That's critical as far as how you use the car, and setting you up with the right set of tires. That's only one example of the services we offer. We also do, of course, like now, nobody thinks about it until you have a problem, is if you're thinking about getting your radiator checked for the ability to take freezing, okay, when it gets down to 0 degrees or close to it. And a lot of people say, sometimes you might have your antifreeze and it says that it's good for, I don't know, let's say 10 above or even 0 degrees, which is not that much protection, because when your car is running and the fan is working, it's sucking through the radiator. The wind chill factor at that radiator is far below 10 degrees plus, or even 10 below 0. So sometimes you can freeze up your car even if the temperatures are warmer, because your antifreeze is weak, and then the wind being driven through your radiator chills it down even more so, and it can lock up and freeze up on you. I've seen that happen in the past. And people neglect their antifreeze today. They think it's just, it's permanently non-maintenance, that you don't have to check it or do anything to it. You don't flush it anymore, things like that. And that's totally wrong. Some cars, that's why your heater doesn't perform as well, and you have rust in the radiator and corrosion, because basically the antifreeze has corrosion inhibitors, and they wear out over time. Everything wears out over time. And same goes for your coolant. And the coolant should be flushed so that it maintains, all the properties necessary to keep your car running well. And the coolant does collect a lot of contaminants from the blow-by, from the head gases that leak through, things like that. And it has to be removed periodically. And I mean, some places try to sell you an antifreeze flush every year, and for 99% of the people, that's unnecessary. But certainly, a coolant has to really seriously be looked at every couple or 3 years, and be flushed out to be kept up in good shape, and to minimize corrosion and rust and scaling, which we see all the time. People clog up their heater cores, which is the little radiator, if you will, that provides heat to the cabin, and it's clogged up because of rust and scaling taking place on the block, and it clogs up the little little arteries, if you will, where the water goes through, in these little radiators, okay, heater cores, this is the formal name, and they clog up, and due primarily to lack of maintenance. And you have to be aware of these things if you're going to keep your car in good shape. And it's not expensive to do a coolant flush. Okay, we do them every week for people. So coolant flushes and things like transmission flushes and things like that should be done at least at the manufacturer's recommendation. Because if you're not doing it, then you're really wearing out your car and your machine quicker than it has to be. Okay, so if you plan on keeping your car and driving all the money you invested in it, then it's going to require on your part some decent maintenance to keep it going and keep it reliable, more importantly, especially if you rely on it to take you to work or go to the doctors or prescriptions, things like that. Then it's wise to spend the money and do it when necessary, not to be overcharged or to do it more often than necessary. So often you're going to some service places and they're badgering you to flush your coolant system, do this injector cleaning. If it's necessary, fine, no one argues that. But very often, a lot of these services being pushed on people, and they get a negative reaction to it. But sometimes you tell people, and you're telling them in their best interest, hey, listen, this should be done, and it's wise to do it. Okay, it's a wise investment. I was just talking to a young fellow who had a Honda product, and we were talking about his car and the mileage he had on. I recommended to him, have you done a transmission flush? He said, no. I said, well, I would at least do it by the minimum of the manufacturer's recommendation. And if it doesn't have a filter on it now, we can add a filter, because Hondas were known for some transmission problems. And if you don't stay on it, you can have a very expensive repair. And I know I've bought cars, Hondas, and I've had to replace transmissions because they had a bad run there a few years where they the way the transmissions were constructed, the filters on them weren't large enough, and they clogged up with little fibers, and people would have problems with the shifting, and they'd cook the transmission, and that was a very big problem with Hondas, and it still exists today, and Acuras as well. So if you're out of warranty, the best advice is vigilance and keep it maintained to stay out of harm's way, because if it does go down on you, an item like that, you're looking at well, I'd say pretty much a solid $3,000 on many of these, like Honda Odysseys and Acuras, and to replace them, to get a replacement or a rebuild. You can spend yourself easy over $2,000 in a heartbeat, closer to $3,000 in many cases, sometimes over, depending on the model you have. So it's just pays to use common sense, okay? And I know common sense isn't very common today. But if you have a problem, you know somebody's having a problem, they're more than happy to help them resolve these problems. We can look at your car and give you some advice to make sure it gets done right, or you don't get it taken advantage of. We service a lot of folks' cars. You know, a lot of people on fixed incomes where, you know, obviously, you know, they want to keep the machine up, but they don't want to go broke doing so, and they certainly don't want to be overcharged or sold a service they don't need. And that we're not into that game. I mean, I'll tell you right now, we just don't do those things. We do what's necessary, and we do a lot of repairs. We go in and fix a car. We'll do what's necessary. Go in there, and if it's a bad brake line, we can repair it without replacing the whole system, the whole line. So you can go in there and put a couple of units and patch them up and keep you going on the road. If everything else is in good shape, and keep you going safely and inexpensively. So you take intelligent, you know, you cut corners intelligently. You don't want to jeopardize someone's safety by any means, but you also don't want to see them go broke and fixing their car. And today, car repairs are expensive. I mean, parts are expensive, labor is expensive, so you want value, and that's what we deliver, is value. Caller was on the line. Give us a call back when you get a chance. We're more than happy to talk to you. It's 9960500, 9960500. You can talk about whatever's on your mind. Going into fall, to another item that's overlooked by a lot of people, and also by service people, is your cabin air filters. A lot of cars now have cabin air filters, and they should be looked at and generally replaced. Well, it depends on how you drive and how many miles, but generally speaking, it's probably every year, at least, to be looked at and see how dirty they are. But every couple of years for sure, I would say. But cabin filters now, cabin filters are a relatively new item, not totally new, but a lot of foreign machines, higher end cars, Volvos, Mercedes, and other brands have had them for quite some time now. And basically it filters out the dust of the road, the pollen, all the debris. If you smoke in the car, it'll take out some of the nicotine it'll hold in there, and so it doesn't get all over your headliner as much. And it just keeps most of the outside elements from coming into the cabin. You know, the soot and all that. I mean, you still smell fumes, but it does collect some of the airborne particles. I don't know how far as microns it goes down to, but it probably filters out, I would say, nothing larger than maybe 20, 30 micron and up. Well, probably maybe that's a little too light, but I would say probably in that range, not too much larger. And all the allergens, 97%. So they've become more popular with people. Well, a lot of people don't even know they have it, but they do make the cabin inside the car cleaner. So they enjoy the results of it, even though they may or may not know they have a cabin filter in their car. But it's something that's very much overlooked. I was driving a Volvo that we had taken in trade, and I was complaining to my son about the smell in the car. He says, "Hey, Dad, did you replace the cabin filter?" I said, "Gee, thanks for reminding me. I didn't even think that. I thought it was just the car needed, you know, a good cleanup." Well, the cabin filter was totally blocked, filthy, and I put a new one in, and it made a huge, huge difference. Things like that we get involved in and help you and fix your car up and keep you in good shape for the fall and winter. Very good morning. Oh, you're right. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Thank you for calling. How can I help you? Yes, you're on the air.
Hi. I love the show.
Oh,
I have a 2007 Toyota Camry, and I was told I need brake pads. What's the ballpark figure for a repair like that at your place?
You spent around $150. If it's put new pads in and turn the rotors, if we can turn the rotors.
Okay. Is that for per axle or total cost?
That's total per front and like one front axle or rear axle. It wouldn't be all 4. It would be the front. Yeah, so we could do that.
Okay, so am I understanding? I can't hear you very well. Is it $100 per axle or no?
It's around $150 per axle, thereabouts, depending on the model.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, thank you very much.
Did they get any advice on that already, or?
Yeah, well, I was just told I need the brake pads and only the brake pads.
Oh, well, we could look to give you some advice. When we do oil changes, we check them for people. We don't charge you for that check.
Right.
Tell you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So we do a lot of brake work, keep your car patched up. Some cars have more expensive pads depending on the model you're driving. Some get quite expensive, and some of these foreign cars like the Land Rovers and things like that can be very expensive when you start touching those cars. Even surprises me sometimes the price of parts to do the job. But to do it right, we don't cut any corners, and obviously your brakes you certainly don't want the cheapest stuff out there. I mean, it's your life kind of rides on your brake pads, and they do make some of these pads coming in now of dubious quality. You have to try to go with the product line that's over time has proven to be reliable. Some of these pads now, more stuff is coming from India because they make them cheaper than they do in China. It's always moving. It's a moving target on the low end anyway. So while the prices may be enticing on the low end, very often the quality's not. So you're going to spend some money, and these pads usually don't hold up as well, and then you're back spending more money sooner than you thought. So you have to. We rely on past experiences, and we try to get the best value for you, because parts qualities vary so much now. There's so much foreign stuff coming in, and some of it's cheap. There's no questions about that. But so is the quality of it. It's cheap. It's getting back to like buying cheap sneakers. You buy a pair of cheap sneakers. You bought a pair of cheap sneakers. You might have paid $20, but they don't hold up as well as a $60 or a $70 pair. They're not. The materials aren't there, and the stitching, and it's the way it is. That's the way life is. So you get what you pay for, and it's it's hard to get good advice sometimes. I don't argue that, but we just don't want to do the job twice. So we try to put the best materials we can at the price point we're at to minimize you coming back or experiencing problems with the work we've done. And that's basically our philosophy. And now with the fall approaching, it would pay you to have your car checked out, get it ready for the winter time. And we do all kinds of work. Obviously, we talked about tires and brakes and cabin filters, and of course we do the basic mundane things like basic maintenances. And most people consider it like they're doing the best they can for their cars. They do their oil changes, and there's so much more to maintaining your car than just oil changes. And if you read through your owner's manual, you get some guidance on that. And these newer machines are far less tolerant to long-term lack of maintenance, because the bill just compounds when you finally do bring it in for repairs, and it can get real pricey real quick. They're just less tolerant. The old cars or the V8s, they were very tolerant. Sure, they burn gas, no one argues that, but they you could run them. They could be not running in the best condition, but they'd still run and be forgiving, or forgive you for lack of maintenance. These little 4-cylinders today, and some of the 6s, are far less tolerant. They work with a much narrower scope to keep in good running condition. And some of the new machines won't let you run them way out of whack. They just shut down. And then you're in for some bills to keep the car up. And that's just reality. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Hey.
Hey.
This phone's been ringing for hours.
Billy. You sure, Billy? You dial the right number?
Yeah. And then it goes to a busy signal.
On the 60500 number?
Yeah.
I don't
For
know.
the last 10 minutes, it's busy. It rings, and then after it goes to a busy signal.
I don't know. We've talked about it. So in the past, last week, you experienced this problem.
Yeah. And then I just called back again, and you picked it up.
Really? I just saw it flashing, and I hit the button. There you were. There you were.
Yeah.
So are you out there maintaining all your old cars?
No, I'm talking to you right now.
Well, I don't know if you had them running in there in the yard or something.
No, I'll go out later on.
Smoke up the neighborhood.
Yeah, wake him up.
Yeah, smoke up the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you put fuel stabilizer in your cars when you put them away for the winter?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do put it in the tanks. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Even though you're running carburetors, they kind of suck everything down. They're not too fussy, so to speak.
Yeah.
Unless you're into the small carburetor, 4-cylinder stuff, they have fine jets.
So,
yeah.
It was a very busy day yesterday.
Yep, we had Billy busy, be bopping all over the place.
Oh, I don't know, from what car to 2 cars, 3 cars, I forgot what the hell cars I was riding in sometimes.
Yeah, well, we're trying to
I had to find out where all the gadgets were, and each one is different.
I know it, huh? You're going to be learning all about this
Yeah,
cars.
I got them now. Them foreign jobs.
Yeah, not exactly a big advocate of foreign cars, are you?
No, but boy, I've learned now how to open the trunks and the cap and this and that, and
I know
where this is. It's always different places.
Yeah, some of them are brain teasers. Even I get them sometimes. I go, where the hell is the release on this car? Or,
yeah, right.
Yeah, you learn. I learned a new one. I'm trying to open the hood on we got a pretty new BMW on the lot, and I went to hit the hood release, and the hood popped open, and I go to the front, and I'm saying, where the hell is the safety release? I can't find it. My kid comes up, he hits the release the second time it opens the hood. He said, you got to hit it twice. I said, no kidding. He said, they did away with the safety on the hood. You have to go, back to the release and hit it twice.
Oh, boy.
Almost like that door handle, same idea.
Yeah.
So it always changes.
Yeah.
And you have to stay up with them. And
that front car in traffic was murder last night.
I was crazy this morning going through there too. Earlier in the morning, when I had to shoot over to Fall River, and it's a little backed up over there as they. I was a nice my mole at the Department of Transportation has sent me a text saying that the Braga Bridge, all 3 lanes on both sides are open, and that was a real delight to go over that bridge.
Yeah.
Not in these 2 little lanes, and and the traffic is at the rush hour is usually backed up. And it was nice to go over that bridge in all its glory, both sides fully open. I have to say that was a very nice experience, because we haven't done that in how many years now?
Geez, quite a while.
Quite a while,
yeah.
10 years. I don't know. I'm putting a number out there, but
yeah,
it's been so long. So I guess they've got underneath the deck repaired and all that was necessary to make it.
Well, Ralphie.
Yeah.
All I know is you fill your lot up, and then all these vehicles. It's going out the door.
Well, we're working hard, Billy.
I know, but I mean, that's why he was so backed up. Go get this and go get it. It's got to be. It's going out today. It's going out. It's going out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we've been working hard trying to.
I mean, the lot looked full, but with the all these vehicles, at least 4 or 5 of them going out the door, I said, boy, they got to go get some more.
Yeah. Well, we stay on our mission. Try to keep value and keep the prices reasonable. And then we service them out. You see what we do.
I know that. I see him.
Yeah.
I know when I bring some in, and then when I go by the next day, I'll go and we do some with. I go look and I say, wow, this car's nice and cleaned up now, boy.
Yeah. No, we go right through them.
Yeah, I see him putting the brake shoes in and rotors and stuff, and the guy back there is cleaning that car like it never got cleaned in his life.
Yeah, since it was new, right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. No,
so I mean, when it comes in, you look at it and say, wow, but. And a few days later, is this the same car?
Yeah. No, we go.
Yeah.
You see it. You're in a back shop,
Yeah, I know. I see him doing it.
Yep. So, but had you and Butchie going crazy.
Well, Andrew was going crazy yesterday.
Yeah, Fridays. Well, you know why Fridays? A lot of people take delivery to get out of work. They want their new car for the weekend.
No, me, your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
From here to there, Fairhaven and Cushit, Colonial, Toyota, and somebody else, and all these vehicles were ready to go out.
Yeah. We didn't get out of there until it was late last night. We got out.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of business.
Geez, all I was putting plates on cars, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off.
Yeah. Well, hey, keep you busy, Billy. Don't want,
No, I enjoy that. I really do.
Idle. What do they say? Idle minds is the devil's workshop. So.
Oh, no, idle. But what I'm saying, I'd enjoy that.
I know. No, I know. Keeps you busy. Keeps you in the game. See, we're taking you out of the 40s now, getting you into
Yeah.
get you into the 2000s, you know, and the
Yeah, I'm getting up there, huh?
yeah. So it's not a 49 Buick you're in, you know.
Well, when I get back to the old cars, I won't know where the hell things are in that car again.
Yeah.
So this car don't have it.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
when you close the door, close the door in that Toyota Corolla, it certainly didn't sound like your 42 Buick, but or your 41
Yeah, I
Buick.
don't hear the locks go.
Yeah.
It talks to you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Right.
put that on. Hey, caramba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ralphie, I'm ready for some questions.
Okay.
Are you?
Go ahead.
All right. This goes back a little ways.
Okay.
Goes back to 1939 Ford, 1940 Ford. Okay.
39 Ford,
39
40
and a
Ford.
40.
Okay,
Now-
that's obviously before my time, but I'm with you.
Okay. Now listen. Each tail light is different in the 39 than the 40,
Okay.
and also the headlights are different from the 39 to the 40.
Wow. Okay. So what did they change?
Well, no, they're different style. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Have you any idea what they are?
The only thing I could think of, possibly on the rear tail lights.
Yes, that's right.
On the rear, they may have implemented turn signals on the 40 model.
No,
That's
no,
my-
they're different. How can I put this now? They were different. You know, like every year they change.
Yeah. Yeah. What-
You know, headlights and taillights, right?
yeah.
These were two different taillights.
Yeah, two different taillights.
Yeah.
Well, they not just for cosmetic reasons now. You know, is that?
No, they were there, but they were different style. I'm trying to tell you, they were different style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like one was
Like
round
some-
and the other was square, or
Yeah, well, like you take 69 Chevy Chevys, right?
Yep.
69 was sideways. The
Yep.
70s was upright.
right.
So I'm trying to tell you, these different styles.
Okay, kind of like what they do with Chevys in the 60s. They would change them.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But they didn't really play with the. I guess they started playing with the lights more so in the late 30s, especially
Right,
in the
that's it,
50s.
yeah.
It really took off. You
Yes,
know.
late 30s and starting the 40s, you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But after the war years, I'm thinking more so. You know.
Oh, they started even before that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They were different. But I'm going to tell you what they are.
Yeah. This is obviously well before reverse lights and all that. I don't think they even.
Oh, yeah. There's no backup lights and
Yeah,
nothing.
no.
They were just mostly tail lights, okay?
Yeah. They didn't even invent
There
it.
was no, flashes for signals or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, the 39 Ford was teardrop tail lights,
Okay.
and the 40 was sergeant stripe tail lights.
40 was sergeant stripe, so they're
Yeah.
kind of split like a.
There was three. It was
I know what you mean. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Three
It
the
looked
lens was broken
just
in
like
three
the
places.
sergeant in the army, same
Right.
way.
Yep. So they made them look different. So
Yeah, so it was from the 39 to there was a little different.
yeah. So did they have one lamp inside of it though on the sergeant ones, or they
No. Well, back as it got into the later 30s, everything was double, both sides.
Huh.
Early 30s was single unless you wanted to pay extra bucks, you get a double on the other side.
Uh-huh.
Now the difference in the front of the car was the 40 had sealed beams then,
Okay.
and the 39 had the reflector with the bulb in it.
Yep. So Ford put sealed beams on their 40 model up.
They upgraded it from the 39s and the 38s and all that.
When did Chevy do that? Any idea?
Chevy. I don't know. What your old man's have? Your father's a 39. Do you remember?
Yeah, I fixed them one time. That's why I'm asking you. The 39 Chevy had the reflector with the little lamp in it. It had like 1157 dual filament. Remember the 1157 tungsten?
No, 1158 is 6 volt.
Well, this was
57.
1157 is really a 12-volt number, but it was a
Yeah.
6-volt lamp. You're right. Yeah. But it was basically like an identical to 1157 dual filament
Okay.
turn signal lamp, which they used for the headlights in the day. That was
You know
your headlight.
something? You're right. At 39, now that I think of it, because I remember the other guy had a 40 Chevy. Yeah, the 39s was like your father's,
Right.
and the 40 was already with a sealed beam for the Chevrolets.
Yeah. So basically,
They
folks.
started changing in the 40s already. You know, like the year 40.
Right, right.
Yeah.
The technology of cars have changed so much, huh?
Oh,
And it's
God, look
never
at it
ending.
now.
Yeah.
If you do it, you have to replace the whole thing.
The reason I know about that, Billy, I can tell you, my dad's 39 Chevy, one of the headlamps were out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, gee, I got to fix this because I was going to take it to my, believe it or not, my senior prom out of Vogue. All right?
Yeah.
That's the car I took.
The four-door black one.
That's right, the 39
Yeah,
Chevy.
I remember that car.
And I had to fix the headlight, and I had to basically, when I removed the lamp, which is a 1157, only 6-volt version,
Yeah,
right?
So, okay, because 1157 is a 12-volt now.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, it was that headlamp is basically what most cars use for a turn signal lamp in the rear. Okay.
Right.
It's a dual filament, high beam, low beam. Think of it that way.
Yeah, double filming. You're right.
Right. So it was a high beam. You had a dip beam and a high beam, and I had to solder the little ring around it, little like chrome. Well, it was like stainless or chrome. I don't know if it was stainless in the day, but it was so it wouldn't rust. It was chromed, and I had to solder that to the base of the ball, the lamp, where the little tips are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it could lock into place on the reflector. And I remember doing that. It was a little delicate, but I did fix it and did get it to work. And finding lamps in 1970, 71 that were 6 volts was not a big chore because there was still some a lot of 6 volt stuff out there in the marketplace back then. And that's how I fixed it.
And that had the reflector in it.
It had, that's right. It had, you have to pull the lens off, a glass lens, and the reflector, and the lamp was held in place by that ring that was soldered.
Yeah, you had to take that ring off to get the glass off the front of the headlight.
Yeah, that was a chrome. Chrome
ring. You're right.
Yeah, so back then things were more. They were made to last, but they were also much more laborious to work on. You know, the labor. They didn't figure out ways to cut labor down, so to speak, as technology improved. They did find there was a lot more hand labor.
An ordinary guy, if he's a little handy, he could do some of the things.
Yeah, and most folks back then were handy. You had to be. You were brought up to be frugal, and you had to, you know, people had to work harder and keep their stuff up and maintain it. And yeah, I mean, that's just the way life is. Today, things, people have a lot more leisure time off. And
yeah, because I remember we could do what we wanted with the cars. I mean, you know, you want to put dual exhaust, nose and deck it. Can't do that with the new cars today.
Well, as kids, you learned about working on cars, and today they learn about playing computer games and working on computers, and they don't really know much about cars. And another trend, Billy, that's amazing is today I have a few young people come in, and they're just getting their license, and they're 20 years old, 19 years old, 21. They don't get it at 16. They really don't care. They get a ride here or there, and there's not
like when we were kids.
That's exactly right.
You couldn't wait till 16.
Right. When you were 16, you were chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
And now they could care less. It's a whole different. And now with Uber and all these other ride, applications, it's changing. It's changing the whole setup. Okay. And it's going to accelerate now with these autonomous vehicles. Just call a vehicle and it shows up. And you're gonna have to.
But I notice most of the cars now have got the shift automatic on the floor with a console now.
Yeah, that's.
You don't find much of the bench seats anymore.
No, it seems to be, for the most part, out of style. Although I prefer that in a sedan. I prefer the shifter on the column because you can at least have a bench seat. And the center consoles sometimes are of little value, depending on the car it's in, or the make of the car. But it's the Euro look, they call it.
Yeah, they want to make it look like it's a little sports car with them.
I had one time an argument with a Chrysler VP official in charge of marketing and design, and I was advocating for a bench seat. This is on Jeep Cherokees, for those of you out there. Remember those little square boxes they used to build, which is a wagon that they had built since the late. Well, when did they come out? The little Jeep Wagoneer. It was like in the late 40s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The little wagon.
The Wagoneers, yeah.
And I had a bench.
It was square box.
Square box, and I had a bench seat in it. And then on the newer Jeeps, they put 2 buckets with a console, no matter what model. Was it a stripped down one or a fancy one? And I said to him, well, why don't you put a bench seat? It allow the owners to carry another person, or people who just want to throw stuff in the middle seat right there, and you can still put the coffee cups at the bottom and all this. And the engineer saying, well, the VP of Chrysler at the time, It was Chrysler Jeep. He says, well, we'd have to retool and redesign it, and all this would be too prohibitive. People want the Euro look. He's giving me all these excuses. I said, wait a minute. How can you tell me that when you build the Cherokee, you build the Comanche pickup, which was basically the Jeep Cherokee, instead of a covered wagon, was an open wagon. Remember the Jeep Comanche pickup trucks?
Yes.
They built
I haven't seen one of them in a long time.
That's right. There's not many of them around, but
no.
They had bench seats in those. Okay, so they had the shifter on the column. They were already
it was on the column.
They were already tooled.
Just a work Jeep, really.
Yeah, they were all tooled up. And this guy, I'm at a major meeting with Chrysler in Detroit, and he doesn't know his product. So I'm saying, oh God, it's like politicians too. Same deal. They don't know what the hell's going on. I said, you're all tooled up. You have it. You're building them now. They're called Jeep. They're called Jeep Comanches.
You probably ain't been in the plant to look either.
Oh, they don't. A lot of these guys don't have a clue.
Yeah.
They don't have a clue about.
Well, Ralphie, I'm going to let somebody else talk. I took that one off the top of my head about taillights today because I didn't have anything else.
Well, it's a good conversation about seal beam versus the little lamp they used to put in. And the seal beams basically were the reflector was built into the bulb, if you want to call it a bulb.
Yes.
We call it a lamp. And they put the vacuum in it, and then and then you replace when it burnt out, you replace the reflector, the lens, everything was thrown out, and you put another one in, and that's the way it's done. Well, today they're all gone back. There aren't many seal beams now in use. I think the Jeep Wrangler is one of the few that use it today. Actually, the newest ones I think have a separate lamp in them. They're not even a seal beam.
Yeah, you just have to clean that reflector every once in a while too. Remember?
Yeah. Well. The glass ones, but the problems now is they're all these plexiglass, and they get all cataracts on them. They get all foggy.
Right.
They get all foggy, and you have to clean them up and grind them down and make them new. And we have a lot of people come in. We tell them, hey, at night you can't see out those.
Can't see too good.
No, you gotta. We can bring those back.
Yeah.
And recondition them so you can.
Well,
see.
do you know now if you get a 6-volt, like for one of my old ones, the glass ones, right?
Yeah.
You don't get the red ones now. They just continue. Now it's hydrogen.
Oh! It's a halogen.
Halogen. That's
halogen. Yeah, halogen.
It's all halogen now.
Yeah. Well,
no more. Because I went in and I said, "Gee, I need a 6-volt." He says, "Well, no, you should buy 2." I says, "Why?" He says, "Because you ain't going to get any more of those regular old-fashioned volts." I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
But they're not cheap either.
No, if there's a market, I'm sure the Chinese will build them or the Indians will build them. That's what.
But they're all glass, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're forced to convert it, right?
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
They fit in. They're perfect. Everything's the same, except they're halogen.
Yeah.
It does give on the old car. It does give a much brighter on the road for you.
Right.
And the old regular glass lights.
Well, some of these cars tick me off. They put these much brighter headlights, and at night
crazy.
You drive by them and they blind you. And I just don't know. I guess we don't have the enforcement we used to have a few years ago, where they.
Well, Ralphie, I'm going to go. Last minute,
all right.
Somebody probably in there listening. They want to talk.
Okay.
And I'll catch you next week.
All right.
All right, buddy.
Very good. Thanks for the call, Billy. I've got a tune I'm going to play here. She's one of my favorite German artists. Let me drop this call here. And let me see if I can tell you a little bit about this. The gal we're going to play here is called Zara Linda is her name. She's the singer in the song. She was a Swedish actress who performed in Germany through the 30s and the war years. She worked for the Nazis. She was not very political as far as being, she wasn't a Nazi flag waver. She was employed by the Nazis, and they had her do some propaganda films and different songs, and she had gotten in trouble with them. Joseph Goebbels had wanted her to become a German citizen in 1943. She kind of didn't want to do that. They had just bombed the Allies. The Americans had just bombed the outskirts of Berlin where her villa was and destroyed it, bombed it to the ground. And she saw the handwriting on the wall, and the Nazis had offered her another place to live, and they wanted to give her German citizenship, as well as they wanted part of the profits out of her business as well. And she refused. Also, she had with other artists, some of the writers for her music was a guy called Bruno Blas. and another friend of his. I'm trying to pull his name out of my head. But Bruno had written a lot of music, was an artist there. Him and another fellow by the name of Michael Jarry. Jarry, G-A-R-Y. Now we're going back in the past here, but the story of the songs he had written for her and other artists, this is all part of that clique back then. And then, of course, in a very frankly, a dangerous environment where the Nazis control all the media, all the stations, what you say, what you broadcast, and make sure it followed the party line. Okay, kind of like what's happening now in a softer approach here in this country. The story behind these songs, however, is quite different. The lyricist Bruno Blas who was gay, had been arrested by the Gestapo and was in prison when he thought of the lyrics of this song I'm going to play. And which I can't speak German, so I can't. Oh, I should probably translate. I can tell you what it is. But it was only after the intervention of Michael Jarry and Linda, to get him out of prison on the I think it was like 1942, and they were able to get him out. And under pretense he was going to write war songs and boost the morale of the German people because the war was starting to change against them. And reluctantly, the Nazis let him out. Of course, it's kind of like letting a fish out with a hook on them, so to speak, right? Because they can't get out of the country. They won't let you out. You don't have your papers. So, but it's interesting to read the history of these people and what they went through, and the songs. And he did write. Actually, when he did get out of prison, he did write two very popular songs in Germany. After 42, the war started to change, and these morale-boosting songs did try to, the propaganda to keep people's spirits high. And after the war, it was ironic. Bruno Blas, who by all accounts had been a victim of the Nazi regime, had to justify himself before an Allied tribunal, which they did for a lot of people at the end of the war, as far as what you did in aid and helping or being a Nazi. And he had to go in front of an Allied tribunal in 1946, which forced him to out himself as being gay in a court, which meant admitting he was married. His marriage was a sham, which he was married for pretenses under the Nazi regime. And he was acquitted by the American authorities in October of 1946 and resumed his career. Of course, he had to be publicly embarrassed at the time. And also there was certain rules. I forget the rule. They used to call it rule it was rule 45 or rule 40, which still prosecuted people who were homosexual even after the Nazis were gone. It stayed on the books and was enforced by the new Allied government installed by the Allies. So here we go. We're going to play a little Zara Linda. That was a song that he wrote, this fellow Bruno, who was prosecuted by both sides. If it cues up here. We have technical difficulties. Oh, I don't know. I guess we're not. Here we go. Here we go. I hope. Okay, it's clapping in front of a German audience, mostly German officers. here's a song he wrote under duress. Thought of it while he was in prison, not held by the Gestapo, no less. I mean, there were very few people got out of their prisons to talk about it anyway. And he did survive the war. Interesting when you read into these people's lives and you see what they went through. Bruno Blas was born October 6, 1902, and he departed this physical plane on March 14, 1988. And they're all gone now. We bring these people back from the abyss, back from the dead. We're coming up to the news in about, 1 minute? Yeah, about 1 minute. So stay with us, and we'll be back. All about cars on the other side of the news. Okay, we're back. All about cars, second hour. I'm Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center with my son Andrew. We're located in the north end of New Bedford at 867 Church Street, and we're right off of Route 140, exit 5. Put you right on Church Street, and we go down a half mile on the right-hand side, and there we be. And there we can, if you have a problem with your car, or you know somebody that does, and they want some, an honest appraisal done for the work necessary, please come by and see us or refer them to us. And if you refer them to us, I'm sure they'll be happy you did. We do truly go out and try to save you money and do what's only necessary. Okay, we're not in the game of overselling you or overcharging you. That's you just have to shop around and find out for yourself. But that's not our game. And we do it all. We do brake work, muffler work, engine work, transmission work, electrical work. Everything from the most basic to the most advanced repairs. If it's something we normally don't get into, we'll tell you straight up that we don't do it. We've got a caller here. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
I wish you could play something we recognize.
Oh, come on. You didn't like that?
Not really.
No. That was a fella. Actually, that was a German artist. James Last was his name.
No, I don't like that.
You don't. How did you like? Were you listening in the first hour? Did you listen to Happy Days Are Here Again?
Yes.
And you like that?
I like that.
Okay, so it's like politics. You got half of what you wanted.
Okay. Yes, I listen to you every week.
Oh, well, I do appreciate that. I thank you for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, see that? Well, she's entitled to her voice on that issue. That fellow, by the way, was James Last, called Biscay. Now, James Last was a German born on April 17th, 1929. He's departed this physical plane on June 9th, 2015. He was a German composer and big band leader in Germany. He's quite popular throughout Europe. And he did move to these United States. He lived in Florida. His last place he lived was in the Palm Beach area. And he had a little time. Everybody goes through their trials in life, and I was reading his history. The money that they stole from him, his accountants and all that managed his money that he'd earned through his life, and come to find out in his later years, he thought he had so much money to live okay, not rich, but well off, and come to find out his investments that they said he had didn't have, they'd stole from him. And it's just, it's really sad to see this happen to people throughout history and time. And when you read into these people, but he did some nice music, and that was one of his newer pieces, if you will. Okay, but he had sold singles and albums in around the 100 million range, 100 million units records. So that was this guy was a serious. The real deal there in Europe. Okay, these are people we don't hear because we're in our own little world over here, our own little bubble. But he did move to Florida, and he did like the weather, I guess. He died. He was 86 when he departed us. But we can play like Matt. You got. I was looking at history. Oh, we got another call. Let's take the call, but we'll play the starter tape, not that one. The other one first. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Are you with us?
Well, I heard you saying that you got a call from your friends in the DOT.
From my friends.
I thought
you broke up. I'm sorry. Say that again. You were breaking up. You said I had a call from where?
I thought you said a call from your spies in the DOT.
Oh, my mold from the DOT.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You must be in a low. They must be. Your phone must be controlled by the NSA or something because
Could be
you're one of those subversives, right? They're tracking you. They're tracking all of us. So
let me get out of the vehicle. Does it sound? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. I was going to say that some friends were telling me this morning that someone had hijacked the signs on the side of the highway up near Dartmouth, where they usually say construction zone or something, but now today they were saying that Hillary for prison actually on them.
That's right.
The flashing signs on the side of the highway.
Yeah, that went viral on the internet, on news services on the internet. Of course, you won't hear it on the mainstream media, and I don't think we'll see if the Standard Times prints anything about it. I doubt it, but evidently they had someone had I don't know what you call it. They got into the software, okay, and
I heard you can do that just with a smartphone. All it takes is a smartphone to do it. A smartphone and a smart kid, I guess.
That's right. So you got it. But evidently they changed the billboard, the electronic billboard, to say Hillary for prison.
Really, I didn't think there were people in the I think any of the hackers would be left wing.
No, they hacked into the billboard, and somebody had changed the billboard because the electronic billboard must be the one right over here on Route 18 and Route 195.
Yeah.
And they hacked into it, and they said they put a new billboard up there, which is Hillary for prison. And there was another one in there too.
I missed it.
Yeah, there's another one, another billboard they put in too, and it went viral throughout the internet. Of course, the mainstream news media won't carry that. But I this morning when I was surfing, I came across that.
New Bedford, once again.
What's that?
New Bedford gets in the news once again.
Yeah. And Hillary's in it too again. Yeah, well, it's contentious to say the least. And we're at a crossroads in our country, and I think you have to look beyond the very, very flawed personalities of these two individuals and look at the direction and the policy we're going to go, and we're going to continue this march of socialism down the road. And
we could always vote the Green Party.
Well, that's socialism incarnate, right? I mean, the Greens are very socialistic. In Germany, at least that's been their marching orders.
What I was reading of one of the Green fund she's running on is to eliminate the military altogether.
The Greens?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll be speaking Arabic real quick, but
sure, yeah.
Or
Chinese. All the money, all the money you save, and then when the country gets overrun,
What concerns me is what's happening over in Syria, and I think it was Hillary proposed a no-fly zone, which would put us right in serious confrontation with the Russians. I mean, the Russians have been in Syria for decades, and we're kind of intervening there now, trying to get our point across. And I think if we were to take down one of their planes, or take down one of ours, you could have a real serious event, and we could, it could start another war. And it's a war that we can least afford, and it's totally unnecessary. And why we're moving in this direction. And there's articles too, for those of you who have access to the internet and you decide to educate yourself and read all versions and all views of what's happening in the world. And of course, like everything else, you always ask yourself, at least I ask myself, because I've been an international shortwave listener going back when that was really the first internet, if you will, and now it's on the net. But why are we provoking another war with a serious adversary who's well armed, tough? These aren't Afghan.
Well, Hillary has a lot of anger in her, so she has to vent that anger out somehow.
Well, I think it even goes above her. It goes to her masters and all these neocons who when an empires get in trouble, what do? They start wars. And
put all the money in the military-industrial complex there and start another war.
Well, it takes people's minds off of all the current problems. Yeah, plus, there's also some point of view is that Obama's trying to take the heat off Hillary by hyping up tensions with the Russians. It takes people's minds off the Russians, and it focuses on the Russians. The Russians are bad. And we take our mind off Hillary. And it's all about diversion tactics to get their views. They're masters at it. Like I said, they've read Karl Marx's books. They've read Lenin, Stalin, and Joseph Goebbels. They're masters at deception. Okay, and then that's what we're dealing with. And they take the sheeple and control the minds, left and right. But the left is far more advanced, more coy at it than the Republicans. Actually, the Republicans are complicit anyway. I mean, when you get right down to it, they're complicit, in my mind anyway. And that's why I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. But it's this, in America, what have you heard about us preparing and going up against the Russians? Virtually nothing. Virtually nothing.
I heard much.
Yeah, go back to bed, America. Nothing happening. Everybody's
asleep.
Yeah,
don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's but the Obama is preparing, preps up for war with Russians, and it's going to take the news media and all the sound bites, and it takes the heat off Hillary. It takes all the heat off of the WikiLeaks. Look at all the announcements through WikiLeaks that's coming out, and start reading into the emails of the collusion between Hillary's campaign and the highest officers of our government. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible what's going on. So you can see that the system wants to preserve itself, and it'll do anything that's necessary to retain power. And I mean anything. And if you think you're seeing, oh my God, this is so upsetting what I see happening and all this, there'll be more, much more. Okay? And and why is this shrill so loud? It's because they feel they're losing. They see the potential of losing, and they'll take all stops out to maintain power. It's not just about Hillary. If you think it's just all about Hillary, you're very misinformed. It's much bigger than just Hillary. They would dispose of her in a heartbeat if they could put someone else in with the results being a 90% guaranteed that they'll be in power. And that's what it's about. They would sacrifice her. The Politburo that runs the system for them, they would sacrifice her in a heartbeat. Okay, so let's not, we focus on the individuals, and they want us to look at just the athletes in the game. It's your gladiator against my gladiator. Let me tell you, it's the empire that's really managing. And that's what you have to look at. You have to look at the bigger picture. We always get caught up in the players. And the players are important.
Very depressing, Ralph. Very depressing.
Yeah. Well, this is a unique time to be alive, my friend. But we don't play our cards right as far as the management of our nation. We don't need any more wars. And they'll take us to war. They will take us to another war. Take our minds off everything. Everybody gears up, and the propaganda machine's already starting. I mean, the Russians over here now, they're threatening to put bases back in Havana, although Fidel and, well, not so much Fidel, but Raul made deals with Comrade Obama, and we'll see where that goes, but we're in their backyard. And, we have no business frankly, in Syria. Humanitarian aid, helping people out, send doctors over, medicines, for the children and food, no arguments, by all means. But to support, more, we took out Saddam Hussein. Look what's happened. We did the Iranians a favor. At first, they were deathly afraid of us going in and knocking out Iraq. They said, oh my God, we could topple next. What do? We take out Saddam, and now the Sunnis control the country, which has made the Persians delighted. And it upset the Saudis because now, the Shia control Iran, not the Sunnis. But it knocked the Sunnis out of power and the Ba'athist Party. And now it's upset the Saudis. And the Saudis and the Iranians don't get along too well at all. So, and then Yemen is their Cold War, if you will. So it's a mess. We have no business there. Let them kill each other and sort it out. We don't need our boys dying over there. And our money. We're broke. What are we going to do? We're going to do rationing over here to keep this war machine going and redivert all our wealth around the world for these transnational banks and all these highly connected people. I mean, for a lady and her husband who left the White House broke and they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars today, you have to ask yourself, wow, what do they do to make so much money than business people who've been in business all their lives? I mean, it's just when you see what's happening, we're a third world nation here. We got we often talk about Panama and Noriega and all these banana republics. Well, we're we're a huge banana republic, okay, in the direction we're heading. And we can't have you can't have a country with no borders. And Hillary come out saying open borders. Read the emails from WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, okay? They're downplaying it. They're not bringing it into the mainstream media because they don't want you to know. Period. The dumber you are, the better off everybody is as far as they're concerned. And these are serious issues. And that's, people are pissed off. And this is why Trump, in spite of him being a jerk.
Yep.
But, his personal life, he's not as big a jerk as probably Bill Clinton is. Bill Clinton has a son who's coming out publicly talking about, he's a black kid, half white, half black, to be fair. And he's a straight kid. He's got 5 kids he's raising. Good kid, Christian kid, goes to church. He's trying to do it right. Clintons want nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. That he had relations with his mom. I think his mom has passed on. And you don't see that in the mainstream media. Not a peep. Not a peep. Now, granted, it's people's personal lives, but Jesus, they're dragging. You got some girl who supposedly had an Trump. We didn't know he had as many arms as an octopus, and was all over this girl. And I understand that she was asked to come from coach and move into first class. That the stewardess just asked her to move forward. I've flown all over the bloody world. Never has a stewardess approached me and come, hey, want to move to first class? We have a seat there for you. They don't do that. You upgrade at the counter, but they don't just come in the back and invite you forward. So, you hear these stories, you say, wait a minute. Now, is there truth to some of them? Yeah, no doubt. I can't say they're all false. There's always a thread or two of truth in these stories. So, but they're all red herrings right now. As far as, they're coming out a few weeks before the election. Where were you, 6 months, a year ago? If you felt that offended then, why don't you sue them then and get some money out of them? Like Bill Clinton had to pay Jennifer Flowers, I believe it was, what, $700,000, $800,000 in a settlement. So if I don't know, it just gets ugly. It gets ugly. Okay, but you have to look past their individual flaws. Okay, and look at the long-term view and the power structure, and the power that's in charge now does not want to give it up, and they will do anything to continue in power at any expense. And if you're in the way, you'll be removed. Okay, and whatever it takes to remove you, they'll remove you, and that's the way the game's played. Okay, we're not as in your face as, let's say, the Nazis were, or Stalin, but they do get the mission accomplished. And look at history. Look at history. And American, I'm not talking foreign here, I'm talking American history. Even Kennedy, if you listen to his secret society speech, it tells you pretty much where he was coming from. And they took him out for it. But hey, you know what? There's ice cream in the refrigerator, beer, ice cream in the freezer, beer in the refrigerator, potato chips in the cabinet. You can watch porn, watch the game. Life's great, man, in America. Just go back to bed. Don't worry about it. So that's what's happening, my friend. So get informed. If you're not on the internet, it's like, driving blind. Okay? It really is. And if you're reading just the newspapers, God forbid. Okay, we lost that caller. We got disconnected with another caller. A very good afternoon to you, caller.
Hey, good afternoon, Ralph.
Hi, Chuck.
I don't know if you had a chance to hear the hourly news about the commissioning of the USS Zumwalt in Baltimore. The ship visited Newport a few weeks ago.
Okay, what's the name of the ship? I'm sorry.
Zumwalt, after Admiral Zumwalt.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was in mothballs?
No, it was excuse me, a brand new ship.
Oh, okay.
Built up, I guess Maine, Bath Iron Works. Okay. Visited Newport a few weeks ago. I was going to go down and see it, but I didn't end up going. And what I heard on the news, you couldn't get anywhere near there anyhow. It was a stealth destroyer.
Okay. This is
interestingly, the bow was not pointed forward. It's pointed backwards.
To reflect radiation,
out of the way.
Yep.
Well, in any event, it was being commissioned today for one ship, $4.4 billion.
Wow.
That's over $10 for every man, woman, and child in America. And add insult to injury, that's not going to be paid for. That's just going to be added onto the debt.
Well, yeah, because we're in the debt already. We're not we're broke unless we start getting our act together. It's like you and your budget, me and my budget. If you and I are living life large, going on cruise ships and spending more than we're earning, we're creating debt. Sooner or later, we have to service this debt or write it off by telling our creditors to go screw themselves and write it off, and they take the hit. And
well, we've certainly learned that's one of the things that Trump admires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He uses debt to but wait a minute now. I hear where you're coming from. I know where you're heading. But he's using debt to leverage his business and expand it, which is all well and good when things are doing well. When the tide turns the other way, you get eaten alive.
No, not really. What he's doing is, let's put it this way. If I owe the bank $10 and I don't pay it, they own me. When I owe them $1 billion and don't pay it, I own them. Mm-hmm. In other words, they are much more eager to, and this is the time.
Well, they have to negotiate
Trump
with you.
Uses more eager to renegotiate.
Well, yeah, they'll sit down where, like, believe me, I know very well where you speak because I've had loans with companies, and I know the pressure if you're not meeting certain requirements and profit statements. When I was a new car dealer, mm-hmm. and I've been in meetings in banks in Boston, and believe me, I know all about the pressure they put on a little guy. You're preaching to the choir.
As the owner of a new car dealership, you're still a small guy. Compared to the Donald.
Why? But what I'm trying to say to you is that when they come after, when my ratios don't look good, they're beating the crap out of me. Because they can. That's right. And they put pressure and they lean on you.
I remember one of the stories, I think it was on PBS, I can't remember which, where during the time period he had his financial crisis, they realized his name was worth more alive than dead, so to speak. And therefore they did foreclose on everything. And they actually put him on an allowance. Now, I could handle this kind of allowance, $450,000 a month.
Yeah.
I feel his pain. I really do. I'm here crying into my soup. I feel his pain so bad.
Yeah. Well,
you remember during the mortgage crisis how many little people lost their homes?
Yeah, well, he wasn't writing the loans for that. But,
no, he wasn't. But that's how rancid the system really is.
Well, but the system was ginned up. We had Fannie Mae ginned up. Actually, our very noted, well-liked congressman here played a role in that, Barney Frank, in ginning it up. And, I mean, it's a noble cause, put everybody in houses. But now home ownership now is down to the lowest level since in 50 years.
In terms of Fannie and Freddie, that's a little bit more than exaggerated. And I watched the stories during that time period. In fact, Wall Street was very unhappy with Fannie and Freddie because they were, at least at the beginning, goody two-shoes.
Well, but they got corrupt. What I'm trying to tell you is what happened when the political
interest... We realized what Wall Street was doing is that nobody was keeping these mortgages.
No, they bundled them.
They bundled them. They chopped them up. I know. I saw it. I had a fixed mortgage at that time period.
Yep.
And I couldn't understand the years before. My mortgage is fixed. You're not going to get any more money out of me. Yet every year or less than a year, my mortgage is being sold.
Yeah, well, I had the same experience when I had my mortgage originally with MBIS. Then they got bought out. Then I have to mail my checks in North Carolina. That went on for a year. Then they sold out to someone else. So I know, and I didn't like the experience, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
I did. It's funny you say that because NBIS had my mortgage when I remortgaged. And they had a reputation when they were NBIS of keeping their mortgages.
But see, sir.
So they were responsible.
No, but Chuck, think about this. Think about this. You and I, MBIS was a strong regional bank with assets over $1 billion in the 80s. It was a serious regional power in banking. But what happened? Bill Clinton signed off on the not the Siegelman Act. I got the wrong. I'm trying to put in the 30s.
Are you thinking Glass-Steagall?
Glass-Steagall. They did away with a good part of Glass-Steagall, which allowed these national banks to come in and buy out regional banks. And then what happened to MBIS? They got bought out by...
Was it Fleet initially?
Fleet.
I can't remember.
I think it was Fleet bought them out.
Yeah.
And then Fleet got bought out by who? Bank of America? No. Was it Bank of America or somebody in between?
It went through so many people there.
And it finally ended at Bank of America. And then Bank of America truly became the Bank of America because we bailed their asses out.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember at one time talking to a customer service rep at NBIS, obviously a lot of years ago. And this woman had gray hair. In other words, she knew what she was talking about. And she said it to me, and it was such a prophecy. Mm-hmm. She said, I am worried about what the banks are getting themselves into. Mm-hmm. Boy, did she know what she was talking about. But they wanted this. You know, we can blame Clinton all we want. They wanted this.
Well,
why? Because
well, they lobbied for it and they got it. See, it
doesn't
matter.
A little money does help, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Grease the skid.
Listen, Bill Clinton's in. Next after him was Bush. It's like a merry-go-round. Both of them are corrupt at the top, big time. And
I go with something John McCain said. It's not the individuals that are corrupt. It's the system that's corrupt. In other words, if you don't play the game, you don't function in that system. Wow. You get nothing done. Well, like, this is why I firmly believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but, I saw the mortgage crisis coming, and I'm a chemistry teacher. I'm not a financial whiz, but I saw it coming.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you.
And I see the next one going to be a Lollapalooza.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with McCain's statement that it's the institution because if that being said, that means that the Catholic Church, when their priests were molesting some children, it's the institution. Now, the institution, the church is the church. Well, but the institution is an organization of individual men who have corrupted souls. Same goes for any organization.
But when you become more concerned about saving the institution,
well, regardless,
that's what this was.
Well, and the same could be said for parties right now, and that's what you see, a titanic battle. Does the party?
I keep trying to understand. Look, if I believed Trump was going to, bring jobs back to America, renegotiate the trade deals, I'd be pushing you out of the way to vote for him.
Well, listen, either he's the biggest liar in the world, and we'll see that we were sold the biggest bag of crap, and that he's part of the same game, and then we've all been. It'll create, I think, insurrection amongst.
I think in some respects we're closer. I don't like to say that.
No, but I mean, if he's not sincere, he's not sincere, I mean,
I don't.
His personal fault.
I think he's crazy.
Well, what? Because he's an octopus, and that.
Well, his behavior. How many excuses
you're talking about?
Do we make for him? Criticizing a disabled person,
but see,
criticizing a war hero. I'm not a war hero, are you?
He was stupid in those things. I know.
He's supposed to be the smartest man on earth.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes they're proven wrong, and you and I in the street level in our little humble lives have more common sense.
One thing I come to realize is whether it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, neither of them live in the real world.
Well, no argument there. They're way above us. But I think read into the emails that Julian Assange is releasing. Seriously, I know you have a computer, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm being.
But I'll tell you, all I know with the Julian Assange thing, why is it only the Democrats being leaked and not the Republicans?
Wait a minute.
Why are the Republicans have such superior internet security?
They don't.
Not being hacked?
They don't. First of all, the Democrats are in power. Second of all, the DNC was hacked, or they had an insider, and that's why that. What's the gentleman now? The young fella, 28 years old. That's of course it's being. They don't want to discuss this on the mainstream.
I can't remember the name.
They shot him in the back. He was robbed 4 times.
See, I don't buy that.
No, went away. He's dead.
Yeah, they killed 90 people.
Whoa,
I can see why Hillary is sick and tired.
Chuck.
Really?
This fellow worked for the DNC. He was leaving his girlfriend's house 4 in the morning. He's dead. Okay, they had a funeral for him. They buried this fellow. Somebody's son got shot and killed in a reported robbery. He worked for the DNC. He did the IT. I can't.
So let me understand. If you work for the DNC, you're not capable of being hurt in a crime.
Well, I guess there's obviously a possibility.
No crime out there,
but when Julian Assange comes out and he alludes, he didn't say that he was the one that they got the information from. But the emails were leaked. And the emails are showing
with the internet.
And they're showing
incomplete information.
Why did Debbie Wasserman Schultz have to resign? She resigned as head of the chair because it showed
so politics.
No.
Whether I like it or
the
not,
emails released.
How do we know about Trump's behavior and Trump's
it'll come out. Listen,
because Julian Assange is not leaking any of that.
He's leaked both sides. He's embarrassed both sides. He's a libertarian of the 18th century mold. He's leaked both sides.
Well,
so he doesn't play. Let me tell you something. He's not,
wait a minute. Who? Assange is a libertarian?
Or Trump? No, and he's like a liberal in the 18th century mode. Okay, if you read into him.
Which one?
Assange, Julian Assange. If you read into him, he's certainly not backing the Republicans. Don't even think that way. All right, he's not that. You have to read his organization.
I'm going to stick to my guns on Trump. He is the biggest con artist, pulling the biggest con, and if anybody believes he's going to do anything for the little guy, I got Trump Tower to sell you.
Hey, have a good weekend.
Hey, one more quick comment.
Yeah.
We saw this Berlin Wall fall.
Yeah.
We're talking about peace dividends.
Yeah.
Last week, the U.S. Which ship was it? It was attacked.
Well, no, it was attacked.
2 missiles were fired at it.
Yeah,
what the hell are we going to do if a missile hits one of our ships? It's just like the person who talked about no-fly zone in Syria. I remember it. Donald Trump saying to Chris Wallace, he wants a no-fly zone there. Chris Wallace asked him, what are you going to do if somebody invades it? We'll shoot them down. What happens if Russia invades it? We'll shoot them down. You should have seen the look on Chris Wallace's face.
Wow.
You want to talk about, thank God during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we had leaders on both sides that weren't nuts.
Well, yeah, they came close.
Because it would have been doomsday.
But if Kennedy had listened to some of his advisors who advocated war with the Soviets.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so you got to.
I remember a friend of mine who was serving in the Air Force years ago, General Curtis LeMay. If you want to talk about a war hawk, and these people were actually thinking, well, if we lose this many people,
we can.
It's survivable.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Everybody had fallout shelters, remember? At least the rich do. But I remember seeing Sylvia Defense, and I remember being in school. They would tell us, well, during an air raid, we want you to go under your desk. And they taught us.
There's something magic about the desk.
That. They used to put us under the desk. I remember doing that.
I remember that.
Yeah, doing CD activation, trials to teach you.
Right.
Drills, and the teachers, okay, everybody under the desk, children, and we all go under our desk. Think about it.
I used to tell my students when we talked about nuclear power and all that. I said, in an all-out nuclear war, the living will envy the dead.
Well, I don't know. A lot of the Senate and the Congress and the rich are building houses overseas, down in New Zealand. They're getting out of here. They're afraid of real.
Well,
I gotta let you go though, because I'm losing people on the line. I gotta go.
The wind and air currents.
Wow.
They're not going to be so safe.
Let's save it before we see it go. But people have to educate them. I gotta let you go because I'm losing calls. Yeah, bye. Give me a call. We had some calls on the line, but we'll talk about. Oh, I want to play this here. I was listening. I'm on the net a lot. And, I like computers and radios, and kind of been a hobby of mine all my life. I should have gone into computers. That was electronics was my first love, but I went into the car business to help my dad out because we were starting out, and here I am in the car business. But I still like electronics, and by the way, I do have some great radios. If you need a radio for Christmas for yourself or a loved one, they start at $63 and up. Greatest investment you can give is somebody a new radio, or for yourself. It's kind of like getting a new pair of shoes for your feet. It's for your ears. And they're very reasonable and they're very high quality. I'm a little low on some supplies. We're going to order more for the holidays. I'm going to play a tune here. If you guys remember this, gals. Which one did I get to? Yeah, remember when Bush, go ahead, Matt, played this here, and it was made fun of. It's one of the many reasons why it was made fun of back then. We've got problems here with this internet lately, huh? What's happening, Matt? You lost your mojo.
If I could follow up, you say diplomacy takes time.
Yes, it does.
But it was 4 years ago that you labeled North Korea a member of the Axis of Evil. And since then, it's increased its nuclear arsenal.
Suzanne, it's nuclear arsenal.
Nuclear arsenal.
Nuclear arsenal.
Nuclear arsenal.
Nuclear.
I remember that when he came up with nuclear, and his pronunciation, and he was ferociously criticized about that. Okay. Well, I happen to be this one is the new. This is for the. This is the latest one here that came out, and it goes to show you the state that this country's in. Okay. And the people we elect to power. Okay. That don't have a clue. That absolutely don't have a clue. And it makes you wonder about the people who vote for these people. That they don't have a clue. And it goes to show you that thank God we have a republic if we can still preserve it, because a democracy would have been over a long time ago. Okay, and people just don't seem to understand the difference. Let's play this latest one here from a congressman from Georgia. This ought to wake you up a little bit. I don't know how this guy got elected.
That at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore. And at its smallest level,
hold on a minute. Start there from the beginning. There's something we jumped here when this rebooted. Here we go.
This is a island that, at its widest level, is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level, or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 20, I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
What?
We don't anticipate that. The Guam population, I think, currently about 175,000, and again, with 8,000 Marines and their families, it's an addition of about 25,000 more into the population.
And also things like the environment, the sensitive areas of the environment, coral reefs and those kinds of things. And I know that, lots of people don't like to think about that, but, we didn't think about global warming either. And now we do have to think about it. And so I'm concerned from an environmental standpoint whether or not Guam is the best place to do this relocation, but it's actually the only place. Is that correct?
Well, there you have it, folks. Wonder why we're in trouble. Just one of many examples. This one happened to be public. And he's talking to an admiral worrying about the island tipping over in Guam. That's, I don't know. It just makes you shake your head sometimes. That's a congressman from Georgia, Henry C. Hawk Johnson, Jr., talking to an admiral. I don't know how the admiral kept a straight face. But these are the people who we have in charge, okay? And they're from all, it's the realities we're dealing with. And you wonder why this, we're in the state that we're in. And that's why I tell people, enjoy the decline. Because, and if you look around, you can see it, okay? I'm not trying to be a wise guy by saying these things, but I'm finally at the point looking around and say, whoa, what the hell is going on? I mean, maybe they should do drug testing on congressmen, right, on a monthly basis, like they have to do to train operators and truck drivers and machine operators. Maybe they should pee in a cup too, and see how clean they are. Like they force more rules and regulation on us. It's certainly a double standard. And when you see this kind of nonsense, when somebody gets up there and he's elected, hey, I don't blame him for so much. I blame the people who put him there. Think about it, okay? the people who voted for this guy. Okay, and he's just one of many. I mean, God, I mean, just this happens to be I stumbled across this surfing around the net, and you see these kind of things, and you say, "Wow, this is the future." Doesn't look good. When you see these kind of, I was going to pass legislation worry about islands tipping over and talk about geopolitical and forces and activities and around the world, and watching out for our interest and protection. Okay. All I know is we don't get our act together in this country soon, we're going to have some, we have serious problems, but they're going to personify. The debt now is approaching just under 20 trillion. I think before President Obama leaves, Comrade Obama will be over 20 trillion. Okay, it increased by some astronomical amount in the last few months of 350 billion. I mean, they toss billions and trillions around here like you and I talk hundreds of dollars. But when this hits, it'll be like Venezuela. You're going to go buy a loaf of bread for $20, and you gladly pay the $20. The problem is there won't be any bread for $20. Okay, because no matter how much money you have, even the rich can't buy what they want there because it's not on the shelves. And this is ultimately what socialism leads to. And Venezuela is a wealthy country. I think they have one of the largest oil reserves in the world. But it's been so grossly mismanaged. And this is why the Cubans are warming up to us now. Because they're not getting this stipend, this subsidies from the Venezuelans because they're broke. And Cuba now has always had its hands out. The Soviets, when the Soviet Union was around, loaned them hundreds of millions of dollars. It was over billions. I think they forgave a good percentage. It was over $1 billion in loans that they forgave the island nation. And I think they allowed them to have one little reserve base there as part payment for the monies they forgave. But this is what we're up against. So, I don't know. You just have to stay informed. And as I've said it before, if you don't have access to the internet and all you're relying on is CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, the Standard Times, New York Times, even the Wall Street, although the Wall Street, I do have to respect that paper. It's a pretty overall good publication. Expensive, but it is a good read overall. Although you do have to reach out beyond that as well, frankly, and get into some international news sites and papers and to really get a feel of what's happening out there and try to put it together and get a grip. But hey, most people, they don't do it. They just take the easy way out. And the easy way out sometimes is the most costly way out, as we're going to soon find out in my mind. And I think what you're seeing happening now is if they see themselves as losing, you haven't seen nothing yet. You're going to see it get a lot worse. And after the election, I think economically we could be into some different set of circumstances. So depending on what your views are on that. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm just trying to get people to pay attention and get informed and then form your opinions. If you're just buying into the major soundbite at the moment, then whether it be a Democrat or Republican, as far as Trump being a Republican, he's not a Republican. I would call him a fifth element in the classical sense in the political system. Okay, and I'm not talking a fifth element with Bruce Willis. Okay, so because most people that's what they're thinking about. Wake up! I'm not talking about that at all. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Are you there?
Yo.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much. How you been?
Good. Get ready for the revolution.
Well, let's hope it's at the ballot box, not with not with violence.
I don't know.
No, I'm not an advocate of violence. I think
I'm not advocating for violence neither, but
I think it's through education, and we've been so ill-educated that the educated feel they're educated, and yet they're so misinformed. Okay. And I'm not saying I have all the answers by any means. I don't want that pretense to be,
all I can say is, you can't fight the law when the law is in somebody else's back pocket.
Well, no, the system. I mean, you look what happened with Bill Clinton meeting up with Loretta Lynch on a tarmac. them coming out with Hillary's no prosecution on Friday on the 4th of July weekend and again on Labor Day. You can see how they manage every single detail. And this is why the average person is pissed off.
If she wins, you got huge problems.
Oh, yeah, I think you're
We're not going to lay down this time. I don't see it.
Well,
I don't see us going back into our shells for 4 more years with all the... If you didn't have the emails, can't prove it. But to me, I see a lot of proof.
Well, I think we have to say, as Americans, we have to stay informed, whether regardless of your party affiliation, of your nationality, your religion. We have to, because they'll try to divide us, create diversity, and put us against each other. We can't go that route. We have to agree to continue conversation and try to work out of these problems. But there is a core of people who are radically ideological and who want to carry out their agenda at any expense and at any cost. They'll do it, okay? Any cost.
They're doing it now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
They're doing it now. They're following one foot after another.
Well, just watch this Obama in Syria and this no-fly and try to raise the tensions and take the heat off Hillary if they see her losing and their polls they poll.
Well, Obama's funny you should say him. I thought he told everybody he was a Catholic.
Obama? I never heard him say he was Catholic.
No?
No, I never heard him say what whether he's Catholic or a Protestant. I never heard him say that at all.
All right, I thought I heard that. So
no,
throw that out there.
No, I don't see him. I haven't seen him walking in a Catholic church, at least in maybe ceremonial.
He's only a Muslim, so he's sympathetic to Muslims.
Well, I've seen him walk in a mosque, but I can't say he's a Muslim. I don't know that for sure, but his father was a Muslim.
His father was?
Yeah, and he was supposedly educated in madrasas in Indonesia.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you're only finding this out with verification through the emails.
Well, yeah,
the verification. This is what I'm talking about. The verification of all the rumors are coming out every day.
Well, the mainstream media is ignoring, for the most part, Julian Assange's releases, and they're trying to take the heat off, and they keep trumping up about how many times all these women have been, sexually assaulted by. I mean, I guess it's a runner-up because Bill Clinton's reportedly had relations with over 1,000 women, bragging about it, and maybe Trump and him are in competition. I don't know, but
I don't know. Where's the Trump emails?
Well, I'm sure if they can hack them, they'd hack them. You can count on it. You can
Seems funny they didn't get him, but they got everything from the Democrats.
Well, because Seth Rogue, the fellow who was killed, the IT at the supposedly now it's been alluded. I don't know this for fact, but if you read some of the blog sites, that he was the one who released to WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks denies it. They never divulge where their sources are.
I thought they said it was that Lucifer guy.
Well, no, but Seth Rogue, I believe his name was the one shot in the back 4 times and robbed, even though even though he had his wallet and his watch with him still.
Yeah, no, I know this. I remember. I know the story.
Yeah, but it's alleged that he was the person that released, and Julian Assange was very upset, although he didn't say that. He said he was upset and what happened to him in knowing his position. And he alluded that there's far deeper water here, far more corruption that's coming.
So if Hillary gets in and she does her executive order like the emails say she's going to do, where's your recourse?
Well, I think
she's going to do all. She's going to take. She said she's going after your Second Amendment. Where's your recourse?
Yeah. Well, I think.
Well, what are you going to do? You're going to take a sitting president and go in there and throw him out? We're going to lose our Second Amendment. We're going to.
I don't think you lose it. I don't think you lose your Second Amendment because that would create immediate, an immediate reaction, and it would create the Balkanization of America. Okay, like the Balkans. Okay, you would see Texas and states out west. It would create real issues, but I think they would try to highly limit your right to the Second Amendment.
Well, I don't know how much
I hear these people talk about
assault
weapons. Because assault weapon looks scary. I can show you a regular rifle that can be just as deadly as an assault weapon and put as much lead out there. I mean, when I hear these things and people's misinformation here, because it looks scary, and they buy these sound bites, they're just all sock puppets. Okay, that's how I look at it in my mind. They're sock puppets. The way they regurgitate these party lines. It's listen. We're in trouble in this country. We don't get our act together. We can't be 20 trillion in debt and continue burying ourselves and put it on our kids. Okay?
Yeah, but if it's corrupt, I don't care if you're 2 trillion in the hole.
It's exceedingly corrupt. It's corrupt.
So how do you fix? How are you going to fix debt with corruption?
Well, to find more corruption, you'd have to go past the gates of hell. Okay? Okay, that's where we're at. Okay, so I mean, we have a real serious issue. We're running out of time, folks. I gotta go. Thanks, Larry, for the call. Look us up at Ralph's Auto Center. Thank you for listening. God bless. Be safe and pray a lot.